Je suis une baleine. 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 Whale. I am a whale. Nice. Hey, it's Carrie Ann from Everything Mom. And this week, you remember being in school as a kid and thinking, all I have to do is, finish this, my high school, my post-secondary, get a job, and this whole school thing will be behind me. How naive we were in school. And not that all the learning is done, because you will constantly, especially if you have kids, you'll be learning new things, like in some cases relearning things like grade 8 math. As you get older, we find we have to learn new skills, learning how to navigate a new form of transit, and how to handle negotiations when it comes to kids or maybe coworkers, or maybe just learning something new that you've always thought about doing. Like learning to play an instrument, or learn to make pie, which is on my list, learning how to make pastry for a good pie. I still haven't been able to manage. Some types of learning as an adult you take on as a form of pride, that you're expanding your horizons. Yes, I'm learning how to be able to repair my own car, or do some wiring in the house because it helps create this independence and I don't need to pay money for somebody else to do it, which, those are always good skills to learn. And these new skills, you understand that they are completely new to you, and you take your time, and sometimes it means doing things over and over again. But I find some skills that we assume we should already have at our stage in life, I don't find them as forgiving. Like, for example, right now I am learning French. See? French, my handy reading material. Although I have sort of issues with how French is taught in our school system, I don't have issues with kids learning new languages. It opens new pathways in the brain and certainly will help them, if they decide to travel or do some other things. But the key is learning it and using it. So my thought is, originally to help my kids expand on their learning in school, is to apply some learning at home in more maybe real life scenario things. So we've been using I don't know if you're familiar with the site Duolingo, which is a free site, and using that for lessons on French, but I think they have, Spanish and Italian and like a whole bunch of other lessons. I think my kids are going through it for both French and Spanish because they're very excited to learn Spanish as well. But I'm just focusing on French. So it's a great site for that. And now that they have this feature for classrooms, but I've set up my sort of own classroom at home with my 3 kids in it, so I can see what areas they've covered, how much time they've put into it. So it's a great sort of tool, so I can see how they're progressing. But beyond that, we've started doing other things, because again, it's all about not so much just the conjugation, although the vocabulary is essential, but taking what's learned either in school or on the Duolingo and applying it in other aspects. So we've been making trips to the library to get books out in French. But the hard part that I'm finding is, as I said, because language is something that I think as adults, we forget that we learned it. It's just because it comes so naturally now, we forget the stages of learning to talk. And I even think my kids at their age, although they're still learning, obviously, words and complex sentence structure, it's just the whole being able to have a conversation with somebody in English is second nature. So the struggle I'm having with the French is not being so hard on myself with expecting, like I talk in English, that I should be able to talk in French. It's hard to go into the library and pull out books that are designed for, preschoolers or younger even, which is what we did, right? Like this French book that I'm working on, with simple vocabulary and simple sentence structure. I think that's sort of a hard part, is to just say, yes, I have to start at the beginning. If that's the one thing you could say that's great about learning new things, something that I think I've had I mean, I've learned how to make scones, and I was learning how to play the ukulele. Like I always expect as an adult, there will probably be new things that I will learn, but it's something that is specific to a task that I think I should already know, such as a language, something that seems a given and basic. Learning something as rudimentary as that has really had me see learning differently and given me a more sense of empathy, because it's a skill not based on something that I just kind of want to know. I want to know how to, build a birdhouse. That's just sort of a hobby learning, but it's a skill, a life skill, learning a new language. And I think because it's that skill, I look at how my kids are learning their skills at school and life in general, such as cracking an egg or tying their shoe or whatever the case may be, looking at it a little differently, hopefully having a little more empathy and patience. So patience for them, patience for me. So yes, it does mean getting books at the library that are very low in reading skill for me if they're in English. And it also means spending a lot of time looking up all the words in my French English dictionary, because I am refusing to use the whole Google Translate thing. So just doing it the old fashioned way and showing my kids the old fashioned way for checking words that they don't know. So, yeah, so reading at this stage isn't for fun, it is more of a chore because it's a lesson. But I'm hoping by my learning, the French with them and investigating other opportunities besides, so they learn it in class, then we use the site at home, trips to the library, and also I've just discovered on Netflix, which is our TV choice, you can on the kids shows, or actually maybe I'll do it on adult shows too, but in the kids section under shows, you can on some shows choose a different audio track. So a number of them have a French audio track, so you can watch familiar shows but with the French language, which is another great way to apply the skills that we're learning. And some even have subtitles, so if you watch an English show but have French subtitles, so that you can see the correlation between the English words and the French. So these are just a few things that we're doing to hopefully all of us will improve a little better with our French. And I'm never too old to learn something new. So even though I'm out of school, I'm still trying to learn new things, work on this French so that we can all benefit from it. And the lesson from this lesson that surprised me is the whole getting a better sense of empathy for my kids in all the learning that they are doing now and still do. And who knows, I might be speaking French in a number of years. So I'm curious if you have tried to learn something new, something that you've always wanted to learn, or something that you've had to learn. I know depending on your job, sometimes you have to learn new skills. And if I'm the only one who's had sort of these frustration, patience, empathy issues when it comes to kids learning new things. So hopefully you have a wonderful day learning whatever you're learning. And I will be back here next week. Bye.